So, who are you and what do you do?
So, my name is Stefaan Verhulst. I'm the co-founder and chief of research and development at the GovLab. And I'm also part of the program committee of the Open Data Research Symposium, which happened today. And we were delighted to have been able to receive so many submissions, of which we ultimately selected 12. And so today in the morning we had 12 presentations, really trying to reflect on what do we know with regard to open data. What's the impact? What's the evidence? How can we improve? And also, what are the remaining questions as it relates to open data, so that we can really make the open data movement an evidence-based movement. I always say we need more data about data, and I think this was an exercise really to provide data about open data so that we can become more actionable and evidence-based moving forward.
So that research is published at odresearch.org, right?
odresearch.org is the place to be, where we have all the papers online, and we also present the papers that were presented last time at the ODRS in Madrid, which ultimately turned into a book. And so the idea here is to start building that evidence base of what do we know about the impact and also the conditions that generate impact as it relates to open data.
So what are some of the most important findings since the last symposium that were shared here today?
Well, it's very hard to summarize the findings of a broad range of papers, but a few that I think might be worthwhile highlighting is that it's really not just about releasing open data. It's also about generating new kinds of collaborations around data. And I think a lot of what was presented today was indicated that those areas that had success were a result of a vibrant open data ecosystem, and were quite often a result of a collaboration between the public and the private, such as non-profit sector, towards solving a problem. And so I think one big takeaway is that if you are problem focused, then open data might actually generate more impact than if you would just be supply focused and only focused on actually releasing the data and then hope that the data will be used in some kind of a beneficial manner. So that was like just one big takeaway, but I think it's an important one because it provides for a premise that we can test moving forward among many other premises that were presented.
What are the big questions we have yet to answer that you hope to see some more research on for the next symposium?
Well, obviously there are, if you ask a researcher what's the next step, I think the next step is more research. And so obviously there are more questions to be answered. And some of the questions are related with what are the real variables that explain why open data, for instance, provides for improved accountability or for improved public service, or empowers individuals in different manners, such as women, for instance, which as was discussed. So are really questions that try to create for more of a sophisticated understanding of the variables that matter when initiating open data practices. But other questions are related with the demand side. As you know, we know a lot about, and there's a lot of descriptive research with regard to the supply side, but we have little analysis of this demand and use side, let alone about explanatory research on why certain uses were more impactful as such. So I would say those are the types of questions that really need to be addressed more. And more importantly, what we hope with the next ODRS is to really provide a bridge with the practitioners and the policy cycle. Meaning today we had a really tremendous day in which really insightful conclusions were shared. And so the question is, how can that be the basis for further implementation? How can this be the basis for really evidence-based policy making around open data, but especially evidence-based implementation of open data initiatives? And I hope that either at the IODC here, but especially at the next one, we can really start bridging research and practice in a more actionable manner.
Great. And if people want to follow you and your work at the GovLab more closely, where should they go?
Well, our website is thegovlab.org, and our Twitter is @thegovlab, and that's one way to follow our output.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.